Hi guys, thanks for tuning in. So today we're going to have a look at one of my favourites. This one's called Morning Glory by Oasis. So to start off, we're going to have a look at the introduction for Morning Glory, and specifically we're going to have a look at that intro bend. It's a really important part for the song, and it's one of those parts which I think confuses some people when it comes to performing live. And I'm going to give you a few ideas of the best ways to go about it. So there's a few different options with regarding bending the notes. We're going to be bending a D note going up to an E. My favourite way of playing it is to do the 3rd fret of the B string, bending up of the equivalent of the 5th fret. We've got another option here. We're at the 7th fret of the G string. We've also got the 12th fret of the D, and then we've got the 15th fret of the B as well. And I'll just show you all of those. Like I say, my personal favourite is this one on the 3rd fret, and it sounds like this. Like I say, my favourite way of playing it is to do the 3rd fret of the B string. We're going to hit those 3 notes, all separate notes, not letting them ring. And the 4th one we're going to bend up. Some people like to add in the unison bend as well, and my recommendation for this is to add it in on the last note. So now we're going to be looking at the main rhythm guitar for the verse, and it's going to sound like this. So the main 2 chords we're going to be playing are E minor and D5. Like our D major chord, except taking off that 2nd fret of the E string. And the main rhythm between those 2 chords is going to sound like this. We're going to spice it up by adding in a little bridging riff, which sounds like this. And in the context of the song, that bridging riff, it works like this. We play the E minor twice, use our ring finger to jump up to the 3rd fret of the E, which is a G note, play the open A, hammer on your index finger to that 2nd fret of the A, and then play the open D. And the trick is that when we play that open D, we're also going to play the D5 chord as well. A bit faster, it will sound like this. We've also got a little turnaround riff in the verse as well. And to play that, we're going to do a weird chord to start. We'd call this an A7 sus2. It's a little bit like our D5 chord, except we're moving up our index finger from that second fret of the G up to the second fret of the D. So we've got an open A, second fret on the D, open G, we've got the third fret of the B, and we've got the open E as well. And from that, we're going to go up to a C add 9, and to play that we're simply just going to add in our middle finger to that third fret of the A string. You can add in a little riff to bridge these chords together as well. And we'd simply borrow our index finger to play that second fret of the A string, allowing us to hammer on with our middle finger up to that third fret of the A. We can also do another little bridging riff to go back to the original progression, and that will sound like this. Simply going from the second fret of the A, up to the third, back to the second, then to the third fret of the E, then the open E, back into the verse. And with the turnaround, it will sound like this. It's going to sound like this. So after the initial introduction is played and the rest of the band comes in, there's an extra little bit of lead guitar which gets played, and it sounds like this. So to play this, we're going to start off a unison bend at the 12th and 14th frets. We're going to have our index finger playing that 12th fret of the B string, and then our ring finger with our middle finger supporting on the 14th fret of the G. Remember, because they're unison bends, we want to make sure there's no wavering in the notes. From there, we're then going to jump all the way over to the 9th fret of the G, and we're going to play our first phrase. To play this, we're going to be at the 9th fret of the G, like I said, playing it once, then using our middle finger to play the 8th fret of the B string, then going back to our 9th fret of the G, then down to the 7th fret, and then back up to the 9th. It sounds like this. And one more time. Our second phrase is going to sound like this. To play that, we're going to use our index finger in at the 7th fret of the B string, and we're going to do a quick hammer on and pull off up to the 8th fret, which is just one fret up. We're then going to go back to our 9th fret of our G, down to our 7th fret, and back up to our 9th fret. We're then going to play our second phrase over a few times, and in between those phrases we're going to let that 9th fret of the G ring out. We can either play it with sustain, or we can reinforce it with extra notes. However which way you'd like to do it. And that'll lead us into our third and final phrase, which is going to be a finishing motif. To play that, we're going to use our index finger in at the 8th fret of the B string, going up 2 frets to the 10th fret. We're then going to bend it up. We're then going to play it unbent, go back to the 8th fret, then the 9th fret of the G, down to the 7th, either sliding or playing it as a single note, and then going back up to our 9th fret. It sounds like this all together. Alright, so now we're going to have a look at the pre-chorus rhythm guitar, and it's going to sound like this. So to play this, we're going to be starting with a D5 chord, going to a C add 9 3 times round. We're then going to go back to our D5 chord for a 4th time, only this time we're going to hold on it a little bit longer. And from there we're going to go into a B7 chord, which will set us up for the chorus. And if you're not familiar with B7, we're going to have our middle finger on that 2nd fret of the A string, 1st finger on the 1st fret of the D string, and we've got our ring finger playing that 2nd fret of the G. We can make our B7 chord a bit more interesting. If we wanted to, we could move up that 1st fret of the D string up an octave, so we're at the 4th fret of the B. And so what that would mean is we would have the 2nd fret of the A, muted D string, then we'd have the 2nd fret of the G, and our pinky finger playing that 4th fret of the B. And that gives us the sort of illusion of ascending chromatically up 1 fret. You don't have to do it, it's just a little idea. It sounds like this. It's up to you which way around you do it. So now we're going to take a look at the final rhythmic part, and that's going to be the chorus rhythm guitar. And it's going to be very, very similar to our verse guitar. The only difference being is that we're not going to hang around from E minor to D to E minor to D. We're straight away going to go from E minor to D to A7 sus2 to C add 9, over in a cycle again and again. And we can thrash around with the guitar a little bit, and feel free as well to add in or take away any of the bridging riffs that we've talked about. Here's how I like to do it. Well, now we're going to take a look at the solo, and the first phrase is going to sound like this. To start this off, we're going to be doing a quick hammer-on and pull-off on the 13th and 12th frets of the B string, using our index finger to anchor down on that 12th fret, and then middle finger hammering on, and also pulling off. From there, we're then going to go to the 14th fret of the G, and then the 12th fret of the G, and and we're going to do that twice. From there we're going to go to the 14th fret of the D. We're going to let that ring out for a moment, and then we're going to climb from the 12th fret of the D up to the 14th, and then 12, 14 on the G, and then we're going to land back at that 12th fret of the G. And one more time. The second phrase is going to sound like this. To play this, we're going to start with a bend. We're going to be at the 14th fret of the G, and we're going to bend up. And we can either choose to have this as a single bend, or we can add in our index finger at the 12th fret as well to have a unison bend. Either way is fine. So you're going to bend up, and then you're going to play the 12th fret of the E. We're then going to play the note and bring it back down, and it's going to be followed by 3 pull-offs from the 14th fret of the G to the 12th fret. We're then going to finish off phrase 2 with this little riff. Playing the 14th fret of the D, going back to the 12th fret, back up to the 14th, then playing the 12th fret of the G, 14th fret of the D, 12th fret of the G. Phrase 2 sounds like this. Phrase number 3 is going to sound like this. There's going to be a lot of similar notes played here, starting off with that hammer on and pull off from the 12th and 13th frets of the B string. Just like how we did before. We're then going to descend down to the G string at the 14th and 12th frets like we did before. Only this time we're going to play it 3 times round instead of 2. And from there we're then going to go to the 12th fret of the D, and this is a line that may sound familiar to you. It's going to sound like this. Going from the 14th fret of the D to the 12th fret of the D, back up to the 14th fret, to the 12th fret of the G, to the 14th fret, back to the 12th fret of the G. We're going to finish off phrase 3 with some bends. Very similar how we did before, choosing either to do the bends as single notes or using the unison bend as well. However you prefer to do it, we're going to bend up and then play that high E string on the E note. We're going to do that 3 times. And then we're going to play that bent note a 4th time, bring it down, go down to the 12th fret of the G, and then land on the root, which is the 14th fret of the D again. And that'll take us back into the verse. The full solo is going to sound like this. my tutorial on the Morning Glory by Oasis. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.